Do you want me? Okay. Because it's impossible to focus on everything. We need to focus on one specific thing. So this is, okay. Mute yourself, guys, please.
प्लीज अपने आप को म्यूट कर लीजिए अगर आप नहीं अटेंड, मतलब प्लीज अपने आप को म्यूट करिए अगर आप इस सेशन में हैं. Thank you so much.
Okay, so the first read that we want to teach is this. We're gonna see a small video. It's 1-1 of the catch in a straight line drive. What do we mean? That this player received the ball. You can see his defender, as we said, is closing out. And now this position C, he has this side open to drive. Please, everybody mute. Now the pass is here. This foot is up, so he can cross over this foot, starting the dribble and driving. And again, we said this is the first chapter, straight line drive. After the defender is beaten, is not going back in front in no moment of the drive. So these are some examples from our coaching. This is the first step. Later we're gonna speak about this. So it's guided defense with me as a coach, and then a drive. This is one of our professional player. He's a professional in Italy. Here is the same, it's still guided defense, but with a teammate. So I want to be clear, the term guided defense for us means that this defender now is not playing live, is not trying to stop the offense, but is giving him one side. So as we see before, his feet are in this position and they are pushing him to the baseline in this situation. And I know that the guided defense is common in basketball, or in all the world. We don't want guided defense to be, I give the read here, on the perimeter, and then I stop. We want the offensive player to drive, and throughout all the move, all the contact, the defense is there, is pushing him, is keeping him off balance, is creating a small foul on the, there is a line on my, okay. Creating a small contact on the shot. Okay, as you can see, and now something, this is an important drive. So 1-on-1 is also this. The defender is recovering. I can drive left, I can drive right, or I can simply have the space to shoot if the defender is late. These are the three main decisions that we want to coach. So this is a live situation. Now the defender is live, and you can see again this situation. I attack the empty side, and I attack. So going on to the new slide. Crucial, 0.5 decision is some way of saying quick decision while receiving the ball. This is important for players. We don't want, guys, don't draw in the monitor, please. We don't want to catch the ball and stop. We want to catch the ball, and while in the moment, while we are receiving, we have to look our defender, we have to look what's happening in the paint. We're gonna see more and more stuff later. And I have the first three options that I would introduce to a young player are, okay, I can drive left, I can drive right, and I can shoot if my defender is positioned in a certain way. The second point that is important, and then we have seen how I want guided defense to be, is drive with contact. I see too many drills where player start, they take the first dribble, and then there is no contact anymore. But you know, when you go and play in a game, there is always contact. Like, there is no drive. If you're playing at a decent level, it's impossible that you make one dribble and nobody is there anymore. So we have to practice this situation when a player is driving and there is a defender pushing him, trying to push him to go in front with contact. They have to be learned to dribble with contact. And this is what we would introduce after, which is a second read after my defender. Later, we're gonna see some clips of specific situations where this is happening, but this can be, for example, okay, a coach is inside the paint and he passed the ball out and he can ask for the ball back. So the teammate the player knows, okay, I could drive to my right, but there is somebody opening in the paint, so I have to pass in the ball. That is the best situation. Or while I'm driving, there is somebody open in the weak side and I have to pass the ball. Or there is a second defender coming in and helping, and then I have to pass the ball. So first layer, first step is my own defender. Second step is help defender, somebody's opening in the paint. Second step. Okay, going on. So this terminology is important. We're going to speak about late cutoff and early cutoff. By cutoff, we mean when the defender is getting back in front. So I beat him on the first dribble, I drive at the rim, and he tries to recover in front of me. We need to be clear on the terminology. So this is an example in the game. Look, he tries to drive in this direction, but the defender is in front of him. He is not beaten. So he does a counter move. Okay. Another example here. I found clip of Ja Morant because I love him. Here, he is beaten the primary defender. This second defender is getting in front of him. So he make a Euro step. So to be clear in the terminology, when there is a late cutoff, my counter move should be a counter move with a finish. So it can be Euro step if you are familiar with it, spin move, fake up and under. There are many solutions that we can find. This is an example in a live game. This is my player. I love him. As you see, the defender is here. He is making like a cross step move, which is a complicated move. We can speak about it later, and goes to finish. This is how we practice it. This is still guided defense. So guided means that when he starts, he doesn't know if the defender is gonna cut him off or let him drive. This is what guided means. He doesn't know what the defense is gonna be. Spin move. You can see another example here. He drive, spin move again. Pass. See, the defender is getting back in front. He makes a counter move to go to finish. Even if he misses, it's not important now. Okay, so I want to be super clear for all the coaches listening to the different steps. We have seen guided defense. Later, we're gonna speak about 1 against 0 and scripted defense. Now we see, okay, I can do it guided defense. It means that I can let him drive or I can cut him off at the last moment. This is something different. It's live. So the defense now is trying to play live, but we give a constraint to the defense that makes it easier for the offense. So here, the defender was forced to stay outside the 3-point line with 1 foot in and 1 foot out. The offense start when they want it. And so you see a good example of counter move here. Another example here. These are a situation that I play. These are professional player. I do the same situation more or less with under 14. Last year, I used to coach under 14, under 19, and the pros. This is a great warm-up. It's a great drill for different age group. And why is guided? Because if the defense doesn't cut me off, so here the offense is very quick, doesn't have time to come back in front, you go and you finish with a layup, as we've seen before. We don't want to wait for the cutoff every time. Okay, some point. Okay, this is important. I put a picture of James Harden because it's one of the best in the world at doing it. We need to know where the defender is in our side. So I'm driving, as we said before, there is no open drive where the defense completely goes away. It's impossible. What's gonna happen probably is that the defender is gonna be more or less by my shoulder. And if I'm in front of him with my shoulder, I need to be the one to cut him off, to create contact and go for an easy layup. But if he's in front of me, I need to perceive, to understand this little difference and use a counter move. This is a crucial point. As coaches, we always speak about how to accelerate and change speed, but it's very important to learn how to decelerate. So if I'm driving 100%, now I'm slowing back and the defender goes past me and I have the space to go in the opposite direction. I hope it's clear for everybody. And as we said, as we see with Ja Morant clip before, I can use this late cutoff idea and this counter move. I can use it against my primary defender, so the defender that I'm beating off the dribble, but also I can use it to read the second defender that it's helping. And this is why I want for you to understand this terminology, because if you have the terminology correct in your mind, this late cutoff, you can use it to coach situation where you beat your primary defender, or now you have to shoot against the help defender. Okay. This is early cutoff. What do we mean by this? Is that now the defense is, oh, sorry. Now the defense is cutting me off on the dribble, very away from the basket. So see, he's trying to attack to the left. The defender tried to recover in front, and he changed hands of the dribble and attacks. Another example from European basketball. Here, 1-on-1 of the catch. He attacked baseline. Okay, the defender is trying to cut off, but you see, to try to cut off, he make a cross step. He turn his hip. Now he's not in the position to play defense on this side. So he changed direction and attack in the middle. Then he missed the layup. So this is first step, guided defense with a coach. You see, I try to cut him off. I'm not as athletic as him. See, guided with the players. Again, guided means they don't know if on this first dribble they're gonna be cut off or not. Same here. You see how much this is more, I want to stress this point. This is way, way more challenging and more harder for the player than simply playing 1-on-0 and say, okay, now you make one dribble to the right, and then you change hand and go is in the opposite direction. The way you improve dribbling and the way you improve playing 1-on-1 is to having somebody in front of you and something to read. We need to perceive something on the court and act on something. We're gonna speak about it later. So this is an example of combining early cutoff, so here, and then, okay, there is a secondary defender, late cutoff, you need to do something different. Again here, you drive, change direction, again, counter move to go in the opposite direction. Okay, some very important point, step by step. If you have any question up until this point, please don't speak, but write it in the chat. And my friend, if you can filter the question to me whenever you think it's important, do it. Okay, no problem. This is important. So when we start to attack, we cannot make one dribble just to go there, just to move. You have to make one dribble to attack him, to make him move. And then he not only has to move, but he has to move fast. Because imagine that you're playing defense. If the offensive player is making one slow dribble, you will move your feet, you will be in perfect balance, and you will be in the perfect position to come back in the opposite direction if he's gonna change hand. While if you attack strong, then it's way harder to make a crossover, to defend on a crossover. The second step is important, is the distance from the defender. Why is this? Imagine this situation with a younger player. You make a dribble to your right, the defender can either cut you off very close to you, so you don't have the space to make a crossover in front of the body. You have to make something else, behind the back, between the leg, spin move, or if the distance is enough, if the defender is cutting off into the space and not toward your body, you have the space to make the quickest change possible, which is the change in front of the body. So this is something that is worth practicing with a player, to learn how to see the distance between a close defender and a far away defender. And this, we're gonna speak about it later, is recognizing the situation in the game. Meaning that I'm driving to my left, wait, I'm driving, I'm driving to my left, and my defender is cutting me off. But if I come back to my right, there is immediately a teammate over there. There is somebody close to me because he is in the wrong position for many reasons. It could be. So I cannot simply play one-on-one reading my own defender. Reading my own defender is the first step, and it should always be. But then I have to put my action in synchrony together with all the actions around me, with my teammates, with their defenders, and everything else. So these are some ways to coach it. These are very young players. So these are, it was a camp that I did this summer. It's under 14 and under 13 years old. And they are not like selected kids. They are kids that simply sign into this camp. So it's very similar to the level that you might have with your players. The first step that we did, not the first, but in this practice, is guided defense with self-pass. So see, the defender is here. He making drive in this direction. He tried to cut off. Okay, counter move, and he goes to finish. You see, all the things that we've seen with professional player, they do it. Obviously, we have to make many practices to get to this level. Some other example here. The defense leave in one direction. Again, early cutoff, finish. This is a late cutoff. I finish with a spin move. This is what we mean when we said adding a second read. Follow this person. This person is a coach inside. So he drive. She is asking for the ball. So you have not only to read your own defender, and she let him drive to the right, but then, okay, he has to read something else. Pass the ball, relocate outside the three-point line, and shoot. So before, we have seen a situation where the offense was making a self pass, let's say. And why we start with that? Because it's way more easier than receiving a pass from another teammate. Because if you're receiving a pass, you are sprinting up, you're receiving a pass, it's harder than to read your own defender. So that can be the first step, but it's easier. And then we have to move to something different, to something harder, like this. Again, this is all guided defense. But you see, this is the type of guided defense we want. We don't want somebody that simply let them go. They are pushing them. They're making them take like tough shots. Okay. Now, follow these two players here in the corner. This is live one-on-one, but with a constraint for the defense. So they are both starting with 1 foot on the baseline. And why is this? This is a fake situation, obviously. But we want this because then the offense can sprint up when they want to receive the ball from this player. And they're going to have an advantage, not a neutral situation with the defense. So look at this. She receive, early cutoff, she drive again. Same situation here. Now, again, the defense is now live. It's not fake anymore. Follow here, this space now. What happened? The defense was trying to, the defense was trying to accelerate max speed. And so she did something that we didn't coach personally. We didn't work. Okay. We didn't work on the backdoor cut. But what happened is that the defense was trying to sprint and the offense make a great read, make a backdoor cut for the easy layup. It's great. It's what we want. Now, so if you follow me coaching the different step, we have done guided one-on-one with an easy situation, so a self-pass. Then we have done guided one-on-one from a harder situation because I'm receiving the ball from a teammate and I have a second read maybe inside. Then we have done live one-on-one. So the defense is live, but with a constraint that makes it easier for the offense. And then we are making live one-on-one without any advantage. So now the defense is starting over here in the right position. The offense goes up, but now when they receive, It's a more static, neutral situation. When she drives, she's able to make a basket. So what we don't want is that now this 1-on-1, since it's a neutral situation, turns into some crazy bad shot. So it's important to add a second option to your player. When you teach 1-on-1, it should be okay. If you don't beat your own defender, you can do this. Because in the game, if they don't beat their own defender, we don't want them to make tough shot, to take crazy shot. So here, she starts to drive. She doesn't beat the defender, so she can pass the ball back to the initial passer and relocate outside the three-point line. Okay, this is very important. Every time you make live 1-on-1, either you have like a time limit, so 4 or 5 seconds, or you have to give your player an option so they can start to recognize when it's good to shoot or when it's better to do something else. Okay, this is a little bit theoretical, so please help me. All these games that we've done, let's call them drills, are based on this concept. And this is a concept that I've learned in many books, reading some research, trying to be as scientific as possible about it. We don't want to decompose the task that the players have. So we don't want to say, okay, now you do 20 layups with your left hand, and now for 20 times you dribble to the left, then cross over and goes to the right, because they are not reacting to anything. Their task in the game, so their goal should be to beat the defender. And by beating the defender, they have to read the defender and move accordingly. So we don't want, obviously, to make it immediately, okay, you go play 1-on-1 and you will learn. We need to have a task simplification. So, okay, the player in the beginning is going to be simple. It's going to be guided defense. It's going to be guided defense or live defense, but with an advantage. And this is very important because it's always the same. You are reading the defender all the time. As we said, we can go from easier to harder. So it can be a very easy situation if I'm standing static and I'm receiving the pass, or I'm giving myself a self pass. It's easier than if I'm like moving, I'm sprinting up, I'm making a blast cut, so a cut toward the ball, then I'm receiving, but I have to read the pass that is coming. I have to read my defender. That it's harder. If I have to read something else in the paint, it's even harder. We add and add. Okay, on top of this, now we speak about two slightly different ideas. Use a scripted defense and 1-on-1 and 1 against 0. Why we don't want, it's not that we do not want 1-on-0 ever. I sometimes do 1-on-0 even with professional players. But the problem in doing that with younger players is that they do not know, they do not understand exactly why they're doing something. So if you do, okay, now you make one dribble to the right and then cross over to the left. It's harder for them to think and to connect in their mind, okay, I'm doing this because I'm attacking right, and then the defender is cutting me off, so you have to do this other movement. So you can do sometimes 1-on-0 as a warm-up. You can try to work on specific details, and we can speak about it a little bit more later. But I prefer to use scripted defense. And why is that? Is that it's not even guided. The offense knows what's going to happen. But let's take the example that we made before. So I make one strong dribble to my right. The defender cut me off, and then I have to make a crossover and go in the opposite direction. You can do this with the defender, a defender that is not trying to steal the ball, that starts in front of the offense. The offense take a strong dribble to the right, they cut him off, and they put the real body on that. So the offense is start recognizing the real stimulus, the real cue that they're gonna see in the game. There's something. Coach.
Yeah.
Coach, you want to go with some question now? I will still speak for no more than 10 minutes.
Great. So let's have you finish, and then we can ask the questions.
Perfect. Okay. So this is an example of how we want to put this one-on-one into the game of 3-on-3 in this example. So here we have the player from the corner. The cue for him was when the coach, the passer, turned the head toward you, so it creates a connection. You sprint up to receive the ball. In this situation, I decide to make a different pass to this player, and now you see it's the same read that we saw before. Attacking the closeout. Now I'm closed. I don't have space to make a counter move here. Pass out. Another one-on-one. And another one-on-one. So here we have seen 3 one-on-one from the same concept that we've seen before. Now I look at him, he sprints up, he attacks, pass out. Second one-on-one. You see the quick decision that we spoke about before, 0.5 decision. We don't want to see the player holding the ball too much. Okay. I hope that this is important. This is another example from my older team, but we don't need to see this. Let's go on. Okay, so this is crucial. So let's imagine that you just had a whole session on one-on-one situation, but in the end, and rightly so, completely rightly so, you want to have your kids play 3-on-3, 2 against 2, 4-on-4, whatever you think is more appropriate. But it's important that if the goal of the practice is the one-on-one, and we have done one-on-one for 45 minutes, we cannot simply forget that and then move into other correction. Oh, you should pass the ball with your left hand. Oh, here, when he attacked to the left, you didn't move in this specific way of the ball. These are all great corrections. This can be helpful sometimes, but it's important that we give feedback to the players, the main goal of the practice. So if the goal is one-on-one, let's say 80% of our correction should be toward that one-on-one specific goal, because it helps to have a better transfer, to have a better retention of training, so what they will be remember and bring on to the next practice. Obviously, why you play 3-on-3 and 4-on-4? Because now the one-on-one is way harder, because I'm not only reading my own defender, but when I'm driving, there is another defender here, and okay, I can pass in this space, I can blow by him, I can make a counter move, or it's better if I pass the ball. Okay, so imagine this clear example. I've beaten my own defender. Now I see a second defender coming to help. Is it better if I make a Euro step to go and score, or it's better if I pass the ball out? These are reads that we can practice in small-sided games, in other situations, but that you practice a lot more when you play 3-on-3 and 4-on-4. This is the last part, and is the idea of putting the one-on-one into a more complex offense. It's a bigger topic. We don't need to talk about it right now, but it's the idea of how can I put one-on-one together with like ball screen and end off and screen away and get actions, for example. But it's not the topic of the day, so it's just for you to know that you need to think about this when you plan your offense. Okay, one-on-one of the dribble. Just some ideas for you guys. This dribble that Kevin Durant makes here, when he takes space, you see that he has taken space to the side. Now the defender has moved with him and he attacks the front foot. This is a type of dribble that we call skate dribble. Ja Morant do the same thing here. The defender move, counter move. Now we're gonna see how to teach it. And it's something that is important also with young players. But first of all, start by this idea. Why do you need this? Because our goal is to make a static situation into a dynamic one. The defense is standing still, is neutral. We want to make them move to one of their side, make them move right, make them move left, so they have a reaction. And then we can use the same ideas that we've seen before. so I can attack right, left, I can shoot it. So look at this example. He make one dribble to the right, the defender doesn't move enough, and he has space to drive. This is still guided defense. Same stuff. Now, while he was moving, the defender moved with him, cross over, and attack the opposite side. Oh, sorry. This is with a guided defense. This is a younger player in our team, and we added a second defender here. As we see, every time you make a dribble, you don't want to make a dribble on the spot just to make it. You want to use it to generate a reaction. This is very important for a younger player, because when you're not a shooter, sometimes the defense gives you space. And if the defense gives you space, then it's harder to beat your own defender. So you can use this skate dribble to go toward the defense. So you don't go to the side, but you go diagonally toward the defender and to the side at the same time. This is against me, so you see exactly what he's doing right now. Again here, he attack, I move. This is a very, very basic learning stage. Second idea, and last almost. This is a hip turn or hip swivel. You can find it on YouTube. There are many videos. What is this idea? That if the defense is really pressing me and I'm forced to dribble in this position, I can open my hip by going backward. This is something that we're going to speak about, is the idea of manipulating space. If I'm in offense, I want to be in control of what's happening. I don't want to dribble on the spot. I can move forward, to the side. I can move backward to make the defender come closer to me. These are all important things. I cannot stand still and dribble on the spot. And as you see, when it goes back, the reaction are the same that we want to see before. Okay, late cutoff, I attack. So this is the same movement from a standing position. Let me see if there is something else that I wanted to show. Okay, young kids. So you're gonna tell me, okay, but this is too complicated stuff. Okay, these are younger kids, float and attack. Float, float. And this is, again, guided defense. By introducing this concept, you can do it. You can do it. Now, this was the next step, and you can use this with your kids. I'm assuring you it's going to be great. The defender is moving to the side, and the defense stays in front of him for as much as they want. So you don't have only to read after the first dribble, but if the defender is still in front of you, you have to continue to move and to read, to move and to read. And now, at one point, the defense is going to give him a slide, exactly as it is here. The defense remain late, and now the offense has to read it and attack. Okay, move on to the next step. So, as we said, dribble with a purpose, generate a reaction, manipulate space, don't dribble standing. You want to make your defender move. You want to make your defender move. And it's important because I think that teaching live one-on-one with the dribble is a way funnier way and way more effective to teach how to dribble than to dribble all the time around cones or around the three-point line or in a line up and down the court. You can not even sometimes playing attacking the basket, but one of my favorite dribbling drill is playing one-on-one inside the paint area. So you start on the baseline, you can only stay inside the free throw area, and you have to overcome the free throw line with a defender that is trying to steal the ball, even committing some fouls. And it's a great tool to teach how to dribble. Okay, this is harder and it's about professional players, so I would leave it here. And I would, wait, sorry. we can speak about this in another moment. These are 3 books advice that I feel you to give. So this is a coach guide to teaching. It includes a lot of like real research about how it's better to give feedback to players, to build your own practice, to think about how something retains, how something transfers to the game. It's a great, great book, and it has changed my way of coaching. This similar way, this is more if you're more into exactly the technical stuff. So the motor learning, how do you learn to move? How do you learn a specific coordination? This one was more about team sport. And this is in general about some myths of repetition, 10,000 hours of repetition. These are things that are proved to be false by science, but they are still hovering around our community of basketball coaches. These are 3 great books. Thanks. I'm open for question. I don't have a hurry to go. I can stay here. This is my mail if you want. You can follow me on Twitter. I have Instagram, as you've seen from the Dribble Academy page, but I don't use it actually for basketball. It's more a personal account. You can follow me as well, but you're not gonna find basketball content. Well, on Twitter, and this is my mail. Hit me up if you want to talk basketball. I will try to answer as much as possible. Now I'm open for questions.
Right. Thank you so much, Coach. It's an enlightening session where we got to learn a lot of drills. I'm excited to get back onto the court and start making kids go through some of these drills. Yeah, so couple of questions which we have from the group. I'll ask mine at the last. We've got Karan, who's asked how to defend this late early cut. Is it the right question I'm asking? Yeah, how to defend this early cut, which he said, but that wasn't that the offensive side, like, right?
Yeah, we were looking at defensive side. So he's saying, I think he's saying that, okay, if I'm the defender, what can I do to prevent this from happening? So the idea is that if I'm the defender, I don't want to go, I want to stay in balance as much as possible. So I don't want to, when he's attacking me, I need to go back in front. But if I do it too quickly and then he's able to decelerate, I'm on the other side of him. You know what I mean? And he has space to move in this opposite direction. So for the defense, I would say try to look for contact, like a legal contact with your elbow on the defender, with putting your chest and trying to, you know, the offense wants to go straight at the basket as much as possible. You as a defender want to make them go as wide as possible. So if instead of going like this, they go like this, it's the win for you as a defender, and it makes harder every counter move that they can try.
Right. We've got Coach Bhuvnesh, who's asking, do you have any specific agility drills which helps basically improve footwork during one-on-one skills? Besides the drills which we have seen, are there any particular suggestions to like improve footwork, because that's probably the most important part of being an
footwork is
extremely
important for
offensive.
sure.
Right. Right.
My general suggestion would be that every time you do agility or footwork, you need to do it related to something, because what we want really to coach is the reaction time between when you see something and when you do a certain action with your feet. So I will make this example. Okay, this is a drill that I've done with 6 years old, so very younger player. You put 2 cones here and 2 cones here, like 2 doors of cone. You put 1 defender in the middle, but it can only move in this line, like a Super Mario on a 2D dimension world. And the offensive player without the ball, if they're very young, is driving at him. So they have to move their feet. And this is a game. You don't tell them, oh, we want to move your feet in this specific way, but you will see the players on their own do something like shoulder fake to go in this direction and go in the opposite direction. You will see their feet moving quickly and then waiting a moment and then going as we want in a one-on-one situation, both the offense and the defense, because they are reacting to something. So I'm a really huge fan of little games like this, of one-on-one about footwork. Another one that you can try, and this is about being quick, is we use the circle, half-court circle, and there are two players. You can do it with the ball or without the ball. One has to catch the other in 10 seconds. So imagine how many change of directions are there. And these are not preordinate change of direction, like, okay, you go to that corner, you change direction, you go there, then you sprint back. Because that is, it can help the speed maybe, but it's not going to improve their time of reaction to when they see something. You know what I mean? And this is the part that we have to focus on, in my opinion. I hope it was clear. Good answer.
Yes. Okay, I'm going to skip Saloni's question. Binay, yes, we will have the recording soon. Shimushi Patak has asked, do you have any points for fast break one-on-one situations? Like, do you do some drills where the offense has an advantage and is doing like a pressure layup kind of a thing, or anything to do with fast break one-on-one? What is your recommendation?
So pressure one-on-one. Okay, I think there are two big types of pressure of fast break one-on-one. So one is like, I'm the point guard, I have taken or the rebound or the outlet, and I'm attacking with my ball in fast break. So I think it's a very important situation. It's not a specific drill. We do a lot of like 3-on-3, trying to go up and down the court very, very fast, because I want to read not only my own defender, but at the same time, I have to read if my teammate in front of me have a bigger advantage than me or not. And so that is what I would say with one-on-one fast break. And, it's not something completely different. It only changes the environment around me. Because if I'm in the half court, I know already that, okay, there will be 5 defenders, and there will be maybe a defender close to me that's going to try to stand to make like a big body, a big help. And then there's going to be the weak side. So let's say that if I have a little bit of advantage with my own defender, maybe it's not going to be enough to get at the rim, because there are going to be other four defenders. In one-on-one, in transition, this changes the equation a little bit, because there's going to be less help from the weak side, less help from other situations. So if I have half a second of advantage with my own defender, maybe it's the right time to push it even more, to continue to go, to don't stop my driving.
Right. So yeah, I think we're. I'll ask you the last question. Okay, this is an interesting one. Coach Bhuvnesh is asking, how do you define legal and illegal contact when you are like, because there's like a kind of a thin line. Yeah. So while we're trying to encourage players to absorb contact, but we don't want to encourage the defenders to foul, because then they're learning a wrong habit. So how do you draw that line?
I'll make a joke. So I'm an assistant coach with our professional team, and if you ask to our players, they would tell you that I'm a terrible ref, that I'm not able to distinguish when it's a foul and when it's not. So this is the joke part. So I think when I at least in Italy, but I know there are big difference. For example, in the States, it's completely different. If you use your elbow, and if you're not pushing it farther, but you're simply trying to move your chest, and with your run and with your sliding or running, you are trying to lead him farther away without like a push, that I would say is legal, but it's very hard to say in general. But for sure, we prefer as a defender to have a continuous contact than to, here, and then I touch him. It's more easier for the ref to call me foul than if I'm like, obviously not my hand, but if I'm keeping the elbow on him all the time, if I'm moving with him, then it's easier for the ref to accept that, to set the bar over there. Well, if you never touch him, and when he starts to dribble, you do this, it's foul, for my experience.
Right. Yeah, thank you, Coach. Last question from me in terms of development is slightly moving away from the one-on-one topic, but Could you tell us a little bit about, we've been talking a lot with all the coaches who've come on our webinars in terms of importance of a grassroots league, in terms of club basketball and school basketball and stuff. Could you tell us a little bit about how Italy runs their basketball system? Because it's supposed to be one of the best in the world. How is it in terms of the grassroots? Is there a lot of school competition, or is it a lot of clubs basketball? And I'm talking majorly between the ages of 10 to 14. What do they have in terms of something to look forward to?
Okay, no, it's in Italy, there's no school sport. It's only based in the club. I would say that we are doing a good job, especially in the last few years with, some Italian NBA players and with the popularization of NBA basketball, to having many grassroots competition, grassroots tournaments, and grassroots camps, like for kids, even below the age of 10. And from age 10 to 14 is when you start to get a little bit more serious. You have your regional tournament. So regional, but especially I would say the top club, when maybe not the best team at that age, but team that want to improve, it's quite common because Italy is a way smaller country than India. So it's easier to find competition across all the country. I used to coach that age group, and it was common for us to, okay, you go there, you have a tournament with different teams from all over Italy, because it's easier. It's maybe a 3 hours drive, a 5 hours drive. It's not like a 10 hours drive or a plane ticket. So this is the first things. And then I would say that the federation, the Italian federation, starts when they are under 13 to make a regional selection. From the regional selection, they make, like say the team, this region team, they will play against each other. So you reunite the better prospect of that age. And then the under 14, you do that again. And at the end of the under 14 season, Italy does, let's say, the first national meeting, not with 12, but with like 24, 36 players of the best age group in Italy. And I would say Italy is good in that specific age group. Even so, the problem is, and I know it's common to other countries, it's not only Italy. Those age group, I know you know this as well, are particular because sometimes the players that are more dominant are not the one that will become player. Because you see the 13-year-old kid that already has a beard like me, and that is already 185, and that will not grow 1 inch more, and that is not playing because, and I have nothing against him, poor kid, again, because he's more skilled, but because he's physically dominant. So we as coaches, we need to see, and sometimes it's hard to recognize, but the player that are going to be late bloomer, late developer. So if there is a kid that maybe is still 185, but is very skinny, maybe he's going to grow, maybe his parents are told, or simply we see that he is going to grow, we need to take care of him. And take care of him means also sometimes help him in practice, find different constraints for him, try to, to keep them motivated, because otherwise it's hard. I have had many kids that they were not a lot happy because they were not taller than their teammate. They were the same height. Maybe now they are 2 meters and 10, but they develop later. So at that age, they will get pushed around every time. So we need to find a way to involve those players, because these are the ones that are going to become possibly players with their body.
Correct. Thank you so much, Coach, for that informative development. We're going to definitely ask you to send us some write-up about how basketball works in Italy. We're trying to implement some of that in India with a lot of coaches who want to find a way to increase opportunity for their children, for their players, as well as, find a way to help the players gain more knowledge about the game and how they can get better. So last question before I want you to do a little bit of an introduction, because we forgot to ask you that in the beginning, but how much time should we be working on one-on-one skills if we are practicing, let's say, thrice a week for about an hour and a half? How much of that time do you usually suggest or find a way to make sure that players are getting reps on one-on-one reads?
So the age group is important, but let's stay between, as we said, age 10 to age 14. I would say a lot, because, and we didn't show it today. I have many drills. You can find some of them on Twitter in these days. One-on-one can be, like, as we said, one-on-one is not only what we saw today. It's one-on-one without the ball. It's also, so it's passing the ball. It's also one-on-one inside. It's also dribbling. You can teach how to dribble with a lot of one-on-one drills. So I would say that a lot of your practice should be one-on-one, and then move on to 2 against 2 and 3 against 3, and because obviously it's important to play with your teammate. But I would say, if I would give you a personal suggestion, is to, whatever time you are using to do stuff against 0, reduce that. I'm not saying throw it all away completely, but reduce it and try to find ways to practice the same ideas with the defender. And not only a defender, but with reading something. Basketball is all about recognizing something and acting on it. So try to make your practice as much with as many read as possible, let's say.
Right, sir.
And only,
right.
Sorry, I wanted to say one last thing as a personal publicity. On, if you want to know more about this, and if you want to see 5 all accessive practice that I've done in that camp in Czech Republic that I show before, so it's a under 13 and under 14 age group that maybe can be helpful for you. In the next weeks are gonna come out the package to buy those 5 practices. I can send you the link so you can share it with your community. And I think if you want to learn more about this, there's the whole practice, so you can see not only my drills, but you can see how the kids are struggling with it, how can they overcome the struggle. You can hear my correction. You can see what's happening in the practice.
Yeah, awesome. That sounds good. I think we're done with the questions. Last thing from you, tell us a little bit about your coaching journey, how you started, and what are the clubs, so that if you want to go online, can we get to see one of your pro teams playing a game and learn from there? So if you could just tell us a little bit about that.
So I started practice coaching because, as many other coaches, I'm sure, I was quite bad at playing. So it's way better to play when you're younger. So, but I started coaching very, very young. And honestly, apart from the joke, I started coaching because one coach of me was a great mentor, and it was something that I look up to. I wanted to be like him when I grew up. And so it was like, as soon as at 16-year-old, I started being his assistant with 10-year-old kid. And then I did the federation courses. I started being as much into it as possible. And I was lucky because my town was a small town, but in those periods we had good groups. And since we didn't have a lot of coaches, and I was the one with more hunger, with more willing to do it, they gave me the best under 13, under 14 players. And we went to the national finals once. We have won 3-on-3 Italian national title in under 13. So we sent some players to the national selection of under 14 players. So that was great. And after a while, I'm 27 now. When I was 23, the pro team in my town called me and said, "Okay, you want to be the second assistant here?" Then I joined them. It was a great journey, a great experience. I continued to practice also with young players because I wanted to be a head coach to continue to coach. And I was there until last season, as I grew up to be a first assistant. And now I changed team. I went to another team because it's a very ambitious team. We are trying to go from second division to first division in Italy. I'm happy of where I am right now. I'm enjoying the life with this new head coach. So yeah, this is my story. I'm in love with youth basketball. I think I will come back to that one day.
Indeed. Yeah. So thank you so much, everyone, for joining in. I hope you guys enjoyed and learned. I will be sending you the package which Coach Nanni is going to come out by next week. So I will send an emailer to everybody. Those coaches who want to learn more, who want to buy the package, can buy that package and learn more. Follow Coach Nanni on Twitter. Lots of drills, lots of skills out there for you guys to take a lot home. I hope you guys can implement a lot of that with your players, and he would love to see you guys implementing that in India. Tag him on Instagram whenever you're using one of his drills. So
tag me on Twitter, on Instagram, whatever you want. I'm gonna use it for sure.
Indeed. So yeah, thank you so much,
It's been
everyone,
a
for
pleasure.
joining in. And thank you, Coach. We will send you the recording soon.
Yeah, thank you, man. It's been a pleasure. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye, everyone. Bye.